Aloha everyone and welcome back to my channel. So this video is all about the delicious eats in Honolulu, and we're starting off with Waikiki. So Sweet Home Cafe is a wonderful suggestion from one of my subscribers, Carrie, so thank you, Carrie. And Honolulu and the Waikiki area have a lot of wonderful soup and Japanese places, but what sets this one apart is the really fresh and clean quality of the ingredients. So I loved how everything was separately packaged and just really well made. They had some really good dumplings and noodles and really soft, just melt in your mouth tofu, and a lot of vegetables as well. So if while you're on Waikiki, you know, there are a lot of easy to find places for coconut shrimp and things like that, but you might want something that feels a little bit healthier and hydrating, and this definitely fits that bill. The broth was so clean tasting. We got one that was a roasted garlic flavor and the other one was a kind of spicy but very savory flavor, and we added all sorts of vegetables and simmered it away, and then when you're done with your meal they bring you a boba type dessert that is actually really tasty and included in the price. Another really casual, little known place is called Golden Pork, and it's a ramen place. It's not very far from Waikiki, but it's a bit off the beaten path. Probably take an Uber there. Just a couple of minutes drive, and they have this whole pork theme going, but the ramen there is so just savory tasting, and it's not overly salty. You just really taste the savoriness of the ingredients. I got a spicy miso flavor. My mom just had the classic tonkatsu style ramen, and they had some wonderful karaage fried chicken that was also just very well made. So it's a really good recommendation that is not super well known, but if you want something that's a little bit more accessible for Japanese food, I definitely recommend checking out Yokocha, which is right in the heart of Waikiki, but it's underground, so you might not notice it if you don't know about it. They have so many restaurants in there. They have a ramen place as well called Ramen Barrio, but it's a little bit more salty and just very classic kind of rich ramen. They also have a lot of other types of Japanese cuisine though, so we actually ended up going for tempura. In my experience, well-made tempura is fried, but you get a really good quality of ingredient, usually with some seafood, some prawns. I actually had eel tempura for the first time, and some really wonderful vegetables, and despite eating all that fried food, you can still walk out and theoretically put on your bikini because it's not heavy or oily, and this definitely met that definition. It was about, I would say, an 8 or a 9 out of 10 in terms of comparing it with tempura in Japan, but I would say in general Honolulu does a good job of meeting that standard, and Japanese food is something definitely that you want to look for while you're there, because I found the quality very high in general. So this set came with a bowl of rice, a really good dipping sauce, and a very fresh miso soup, and we were really happy with the quality, and it's very convenient. And a nice tip as well, if you might happen to be driving from another part of the island, is they actually comp parking. So if you have a few errands to run around Waikiki, or you want to go for a cocktail or a little bit of shopping, you can get your 3 hours of parking for just a few dollars if you eat at one of the restaurants in the Yokocho area. And it's a nice standard of dining. It's pretty casual, but it's still a little bit more dressy than the food courts, and so for that reason I actually prefer it to Shirokiya, which is the Japanese dining hall that you often see recommended for tourists. I finished off the meal with a matcha soft serve, and I was really impressed that it was actually not sweet at all and just really had that very strong and flavorful flavor of the matcha green tea. Something new to try out is the Halekulani Bakery, which is actually in the Halepuna Hotel, which is opposite the Halekulani Hotel. It is a hint more casual than the Halekulani dining restaurants are. They have orchids, they have House Without a Key for sunset dancing, both wonderful recommendations that you've seen from me before. But this is something a bit new. The menu is actually pretty mid-priced for Waikiki, which is very pricey in general, but I found the quality to be very high. So if you want just kind of a fancy lunch but nothing too dressy, I think it's a nice option. I had the lobster roll, which was served on a brioche style bun, The fries sort of look like nothing, but they were so delicious because they're wedge fries fried in duck fat. My mom had the banh mi. I think the lobster roll was better. Really, the standout thing that they offer are the pastries and desserts. So we had an opera style cake that had passion fruit in it, and you could tell that the attention to detail was there, which is what the Halekulani and the restaurants within it do very well. So after that, we went over to the side and experienced the bakery. We got a few things to take away, and the one thing that I was so excited about is that they actually have the Halekulani signature coconut cake. And if you've never had that before, it's like eating air. Even if you're not a big fan of coconut, I think it's the sort of thing you have to try once if you go. And it was just wonderful to be able to take it away and eat it at home. And normally that's something that's sort of hard to obtain from the Halekulani unless you have a full meal there. So I really enjoyed that, and I thought it was very photogenic in there. They've obviously worked very hard on making the bakery very Instagrammable and making all the bread really beautiful and aesthetically pleasing. A little bit more on the plain side, but not to sort of miss, is Tonkatsu Tamafuji, which was another local's recommendation. And this is something really special. So it's the Japanese cutlets, but they fry them so they are light as air, but it's so just succulent and juicy. They serve it with cabbage, which I would also not write off. I know that sounds really plain, but it's really delicious because of the sesame dressing they give you. And it comes with a delicious mixed rice that has some seeds, and it's really well seasoned. You grind your own sesames to dip your pork in, and it's just a neat experience. It feels very authentic. It's insanely busy, so I recommend you either go early or late, and you might still have a bit of a wait, but you can always grab a beer downstairs because they have a brewery there, and you can tell how fresh and authentic everything is. There's even full clams swimming around in the miso soup, and it's just very wonderful flavors, very simple flavors, but delicious, which is something you will find as well at the Kapiolani Farmers Market. So this is near Diamond Head on your way to Kahala, so not very far from Waikiki, but very busy on a Saturday morning. You definitely have to wake up early for this one because it ends at 11, but they have a lot of wonderful food stalls as well as a lot of things like jams or things you can take home for small gifts. One of our favorite stalls is this North Shore Farms pizza. They actually barbecue the pizza and grow their own tomatoes and make their own pesto, and it is wonderful. If you've never had barbecued pizza, it's a little bit of a different flavor than your traditional Neapolitan style pizza, but it is wonderful, and they've been around for quite some time, and it's definitely what I would consider to be a must try. They also top it off with their homegrown basil, which is so sweet and just wonderfully aromatic, and there's pretty much nowhere to sit at the farmer's market, so you end up in the playground or somewhere weird like that. The Pig and the Lady does have a very small seating area. Ultimately, I would probably recommend you go to one of their full-scale restaurants. There's one in the Ward area called Piggy Smalls, which is very good, but they also have this food stall at the market where I decided to try some of their pho, and it was very aromatic, very well made, but it's very cramped there, so what I ended up doing is eating a little bit of it at the market and then taking the rest home. But in either case, if you're looking for really well-made, no MSG, fresh ingredients, a lot of local ingredients, Vietnamese food, the owner of the Pig and the Lady does a pretty standout job with that and has gotten pretty rave reviews for the three different iterations. So the Pig and the Lady is in Chinatown, Piggy Smalls is in the Ward area, and then you have this stall at the Kapiolani Farmers Market, which is definitely worth checking out if you're willing to get up early on a Saturday and just kind of explore and mingle. They also have wonderful pineapple juice there, some grilled abalone, just a lot of things that you can sample and experience that you may not otherwise know about. So then at the Kahala Resort, which is right by us, they have a wonderful upscale restaurant called Chino. And the evening is definitely a little bit more dressy there. They have a wonderful set menu at lunch that many may not be aware of. It's $40, so it's definitely upmarket, but you get really wonderful value. You can see my mom's burrata salad. I had a tartare with some local fish. Everything is very refined. They're very thoughtful. And then the main thing to go for there is if you like sea urchin, they have the most wonderful uni pasta. And they have various different locations. They actually do have a location on Waikiki as well. But I like the Chino at the Kahala because I think they really put the effort into the service there. So even though it is a little bit more upscale than their other locations, I think it's worth the money for the atmosphere and also for that set menu that they do that has a lot of really good options. So if you want to have a leisurely kind of luxurious lunch, this would be my recommendation for that. And then they also have some really special desserts as well to finish off your 3-course lunch. They do this chocolate fondant style cake that is melt in your mouth. It comes with caramel and it's just very refined, very well made, and just a nice atmosphere as well. They have a nice patio and a wood-fired oven. And something casual to do as well, which surprisingly isn't more expensive than most beach food, is just to get one of their Neapolitan style pizzas and eat it on the beach. And a margarita pizza is pretty well priced there, so it's kind of a fun thing to do that I've photographed on Instagram. If you're looking for something for happy hour, that same hotel, so the Kahala Resort where we spend a lot of time, has the veranda where they serve afternoon tea, but they also serve pupu. They have live music and sometimes dancing depending on the mood of the patrons, and all of the food comes from Hoku, which is a very upscale restaurant that specializes largely in seafood, and they do a wonderful Sunday brunch if you're looking for that sort of thing, but you can get some of their food offerings just in a more casual setting at the veranda. Lastly, leaving you with a casual dining recommendation in a different area. If you venture over to Kailua Beach and the Lanikai Beach area, if you go into the village, there's a place called Kono's that has wonderful Kalua pig, which is something that you find present on almost every menu for casual dining in Hawaii. But theirs is especially good, and they do this burrito with breakfast potatoes and eggs, and it's just the perfect, very satisfying brunchy food that's perfect to fill your belly up before you enjoy some beach time. So you can see some of the beautiful waters there, and I just wanted to share a recommendation that's in that area because keep in mind not everything is on Waikiki. So there are many different corners of the island to explore. You can drive around, experience some of the beautiful beaches. Kailua Beach, Lanikai Beach are beautiful. Kahala Beach is a little corner of paradise that we love. So wherever you go, you'll find so much natural beauty and delicious eats, and I wanted to share my recommendations with you. So here they are, much requested. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and a subscribe, and I will see you in my next installment.